Welcome to the Challenge Podcast, brought to you by Raider Concealment.
Hey guys, welcome to the Challenge Podcast, brought to you by Raider Concealment. I'm Brad Frost with Scott Carroll. We've got David Moore, and our special guest today is Zada, and she brought Lyle Avis with her as well. So, guys, we appreciate you showing up today. Glad to have you on here, and I think we've got a few questions for you.
We got a lot of questions for you, so it's going to be a speed round. But first of all, like Brad said, appreciate you coming in today. I'm thankful it's raining today because I know you'd rather be in the woods hunting, but you took time to come join us. So, again, thank you for that. So who wants to start here?
I'll do it.
Step up.
So first off, why don't you tell us a little about Zada? What type of dog, how long you've been training her, that type of
So Zada's a Louisiana Catahoula leopard dog. So she'll be 4 years old in December this year. So this is our 4th deer season. Found her first deer at right about 8 months. Just that's how it fell for her. UBT certified, United Blood Tracker certified at about 4 months, and then again at 6 for her second level. Right now we're sitting at about 113 fines, so we just hit our career 100th fine a couple of weeks ago. We're on track to definitely have our best season right now than we have in the past.
Which is a good thing, bad thing. It's the best season for your average, but it's bad that you have to follow that many deer tracks.
Do you think, I want to call it a sport, blood trail, because it's got to be fun for you. You wouldn't do it. It's, not out there for the money. But do you think that sport's increasing? You seem to be able to kind of find a tracking dog a little more easier than you could back 10, 15 years ago.
I think it is, and really there's a lot of people start, but not a lot of people stick with it.
Yeah,
right?
It's a lot of work.
It's not real hard. It's just repetitive over and over and over again. And a lot of guys think they want to do it, so they might run one for a year, and then it doesn't turn out. It doesn't make them as rich as they thought it was going to, right? And then they just turn away from it. But there's definitely more and more people every year since even when we started.
Yeah, I think if a guy, kind of like what we're doing, if you're getting in it to make money, you probably want to find another career maybe. I don't know. Yeah. We enjoy what we're doing. It's fun. I mean, it is a job, and it has saved a lot of deer's lives, because the camera wasn't on them or something goes wrong with that, and other animals. But I think you got to have a love for it to be any good at it, just like anything else.
Right. It's definitely fun, but it is some work when you crawl in bed at 9 o'clock at night and then they call you.
Oh, exactly.
Right. A lot of late nights you're on call basically for the whole day. Now, tell me what states that you actually track in.
So I try to stick it within
or what area?
Within about an hour radius, right? Okay. So an hour radius of Columbus.
Okay.
So I'll go into Alabama. Most of my calls come in Georgia. If I go more than that hour mark, I probably know another tracker who's closer.
I was going to say, how do people find trackers?
So
how do they find you?
Yeah.
So for me, I get most of my calls off of Facebook, right? Okay. So Facebook sets that up. So there's really two main ones that I'm on is the Alabama Blood Trailing Network and the Georgia Blood Trailing Network. There's a Alabama Nose to the Ground that also get a few from, but
do you want to give a phone number out?
The two blood trailing, I can. So my phone number is 785-307-2097, and it really doesn't matter where you are. If you call me, I could probably put you in contact with somebody who's closer, even if you're not by me.
What's the average track, a guy's going to spend? He's got a nice bug, and he's debating on, man, is it worth, $500? I mean, it ain't $500.
So for me, I tell them every single time, I don't have a set fee. I ask for a donation to cover gas and time spent, and then based on where they are, I give them an average. So if I'm right in my immediate local area, I probably average about 100. And then if I start headed out at that hour mark, I'm probably closer to 2. Now that will vary too. I don't ever set a set fee, but I might get more than that, I might get less than that, just based on who I'm tracking for.
You got any customers that are repetitive?
Oh yeah. I've got several. I've got guys.
Any of them named Frost?
Well, we won't talk about how many Frost. I've got several in my.
I'm sure you do.
My messages here.
I tell you what, you talk about the cost. I can think of one time I would have paid you $1,000.
We would have drove you to Kansas.
Yeah.
The best deer I've ever shot. Ended up rough scoring at 172 and some change. I hit him. We all looked at the footage. We thought, man, that's right behind the shoulder, mid body. but in reality, I only got one lung and some liver. And
Well, it was right behind the shoulder,
It
but
was,
his
but he was
shoulder was
taking-
back
it's taking a
when he
step.
shot. So unless you take the time to look at that,
So I went and found, trailed him for a little bit and had some dark blood. And I said, well, that doesn't look good. So I backed out for like 4 or 5 hours. And then
you
had
said
a bunch
blood.
blood.
Yeah, that's why she's flying.
She's like, oh,
blood.
looking around where?
So I was telling all the guys about it. We watched the footage and they said, oh, we can find that deer. We can find that. So we went out and spent 4 or 5 hours, like 10 of us, looking for the deer. Well, in reality, that probably just messed it up.
Yeah.
We didn't find the deer for 5 days. The landowner actually smelled it and told us where it was. But believe me, I was sick every time I thought about it. So I would
She would have found it.
gladly.
She would have found it in
would
10
have been-
minutes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was like 650 yards away.
Yeah.
Well, Lyle, we got a lot more questions for you, but before we go any further, I want to invite you guys to please, hit the subscribe button down there. We really do appreciate you guys watching the podcast. Hopefully you're enjoying them, and we're bringing a little creativity to it, a little laughing and joking, telling some stories, and hopefully there'll be some things, you hear today that you'll learn a little something. I know for me, I'm going to learn a lot about tracking, wounded deer.
We want your comments too.
Yeah, send
Please
comments
comment,
out there.
questions.
And we're sitting about 2 weeks from Christmas, so it'll be a great time to start thinking about Christmas gifts. If you haven't already, got everything you want, again, Sam's is carrying the Raider Concealment, the broadsword patterns. They have jackets, pullovers, T-shirts,
The shirt that
and
you're
the shirt
wearing.
I'm wearing. So great prices too, Brad.
Yeah, very much so. I think normally they're selling a jacket for $40, and then online it's like 90 or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's a good deal, and it's an awesome jacket. I mean, it's warm, it's waterproof, windproof. and you
I
can't beat
admitted last time I wear mine more than just hunting. I mean,
Yes.
I love it, but I don't have to get me another one. So anyways, back to the tracking. I got a couple of things. I know David has a whole list over here, but a guy shoots a deer, whether it be a gun, whatever. When do they need to make that determination that it's time to give you a call?
Right. So, I mean, everybody asks that question, and nobody's going to shoot a deer then not go look for it, right?
Right,
So the
right.
easy question would be, hey, pull the trigger, give me a call, right?
Right.
But everybody's going to go look for it. So I would say when you get to the point that your hands and knees are starting to grid search to find that next drop of blood, you might as well back out at that point.
Save a lot of time.
What if you jump the deer? Is
So
that-
if you jump it and you think that you got it if you got a gut shot, then I would say back out and call. Or a lot of times I'll tell guys to wait another 8 hours and then go look at that bed
Yeah.
and see if it was there. Because
And
if
then
it's not
decide if they
there,
need you?
then they might need me,
So once they know, okay, I'm going to need you, is there a certain thing they can do to help you, like mark the last
Right.
place they saw blood, mark the last time they saw the deer, last time they think they saw it here but heard something over here? Is that all
Yeah,
that
so
stuff
I'm going to
helpful?
ask them, if they're still out there looking, I'm going to ask them to stop looking, because at that point they're not doing themselves any favors.
Yeah,
right?
they're just confusing the trail.
Right,
for her.
because who knows if they stepped in something early on and now she's got to track through them, through their
Right.
blood trail to figure out the real deer. But I want to know where that deer was standing when you shot, which is probably the most important, especially if you don't have any blood. If there's no blood, I need to know where that deer's standing, because otherwise I can't tell her what deer to track.
So she can track just scent, not blood scent.
Yeah, she doesn't care if there's blood or not, because she's tracking off that interdigital gland.
Yeah.
Right.
She's tracking solely interdigital gland for that specific deer. So if I don't know where that deer was standing, then there might have been a doe through here 12 hours ago that she's going to track, right? So I have to know exactly
Right.
where that deer was standing. Unless there's blood, then we can get on somewhere else.
Now, I know you told me she approaches a buck different than a doe. You
Right.
know, does she know? Well, I guess you'd have to ask her.
Yeah.
But
Put the
do you
microphone
think,
up to
Do
her
you
face.
think she knows what she's on to start with, or she doesn't know till she sees the deer?
She doesn't act any different, buck or doe. She'll track exactly the same until she sees it. And then, like we said before, if she sees it and it's a doe, she's going to go in and try to catch. If she sees it and it's a buck, she'll go around and start to do that circle. You know, she's going to go about 10 feet out, 15 feet out, and she's going to circle and try to bay it up for us.
Cool.
Do you have to stop and start her a lot on the tracks?
Not too often.
too
Just
often?
if it's a real hard track, if it's real old, if we're talking at the 24-hour mark,
Okay.
because she's not a real cold-nosed dog. Our specialty definitely lies more into that leg shot, that gut shot, a deer that needs to be chased down and bayed up.
Right.
So I don't have to restart her too much, but if I do, that's definitely a technique that I use when she looks like she's confused or looks like she's really struggling, then I'll pull her back.
You may need to pull her back now.
She's trying to find, she sees that deer over there, she's going to start baying it up.
So when you find, on average, when you find a deer, is it still alive or most of them already dead or?
So before this year, okay, so we'll back up, right? So if you're running your dog on lead, which, if you got your dog on a leash, which is typically a 30-foot lead, then you're going to find most of your deer dead because those deer that are running, oh, jeez. You're going to find most of your deer dead because you're not going to be able to chase them. But now that I've been running her off lead with just a GPS collar for a couple of years, we're starting to really level out. I'd say probably 2/3 of them are dead. A third still alive that have to be dispatched at the site where we find them.
How many times have you been charged?
So it's only actually happened once, and it was just a few weeks ago. So
tell us about that.
So it's the same kind of scenario. We were on a gut shot buck, which was supposed to be a pretty good sized 10-pointer that they were after. So they showed me trail camera pictures and everything when I got there to kind of see what we were working with. Sign, there was no blood on the ground, not a lot of sign for us to go off of, but they knew exactly where that deer was standing when they shot. So we took off. We made it about probably just shy of a mile before Zada had it bayed up in a creek bed. So we got to that creek bed, and what happens usually is
No, we're teasing you with all this tracking talk.
What happens usually is I turn around to find my hunter, and all I see is a headlamp, 300 yards behind me. So he finally got up, and I guess by then the deer had enough being bayed up, and he showed up in time.
Daylight?
No, this was at night.
Oh, you said headlamp.
Yeah. So we're running at night. So he shows up just in time for that deer to leave the creek bed.
Yeah,
so no
perfect.
shot, right? So we probably ran another 1,000 yards to catch back up to it.
Oh my God.
No hunter in sight, just me, Zada, and this deer. She has it bayed up. So I shoot it once, because I usually carry a 357 with me, something big and heavy with like a 140 grain bullet. I shoot him. He turns and just ducked his head and ran at me. First time that's ever happened. Normally I shoot him and they just drop.
Right.
But he turned, ran at me, shot him again, and he fell probably, I could have stepped from where I was at and stepped up on top of him. Wow. I jumped behind this little sapling like this big, like it was going to save my life, you know what I mean? Like,
That's all you got sometimes.
But man, that was the only time that I've ever been charged. Now, the first half of that
prices
story,
go up for charging.
Yeah, right. That's what I
charge more for charging. Right?
I was like, hey, I had to do the work, so.
Right.
All right,
Tell
David.
us a little bit about the breed that she is and how, is there better breeds than others or?
So I've got friends who track with all kinds of dogs. I would say that if I was going to list a couple of the main ones, right, there's a lot of Catahoula, especially down here in the south, because you get a lot of bloodlines for the hog dogs, which essentially I'm doing the same thing as you would want your bay dog to do on a hog, but for a deer. You'll get some labs. Wire-haired dachshunds are probably at the higher end of what you'll see a lot of people using.
Yep.
A lot of those are like standard, like hunting bred wire-haired dachshunds, not
Jack Russells.
Yeah, I've seen some Jack Russells.
What about my dog, American Pit Bull Terrier?
I've seen a couple of guys use them, but it's not as prevalent as labs, Catahoulas.
I don't think their nose is.
Yeah.
She just gives me the impression her nose.
She just doesn't
great.
care. I mean, I've seen them do it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a dog.
But then
I'd
there's
want
other times,
at the end.
she impressed me. But I mean, she'll, throw a toy out there, and in the dark, she's all around it. And I'm like, it's right there.
Yeah. Well, she does this. She does it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
I throw a treat on the ground, and she might be standing on it, sniffing around, but she'll go find it here.
Okay. I feel better about my dog now.
Yeah.
What you got, David?
Well, God, I got a lot of questions. Let's just kind of start with, you just kind of did, okay, they shot the deer,
Right.
what's the do? What are the don'ts?
Right.
That's really what I want. What
What
do
makes
you
your
not-
life
What
more
makes your
difficult?
life and that dog, that track a lot? I mean, I know there's a lot of people that, tracking it too early, pushing the deer, those types of things, grid searching when they shouldn't, because that just kind of messes. But what, in the ideal world, what do you want them? What do you want them to do? But certainly, what you want them not to do. What that hunter shouldn't do.
Right. So I want them to call me when they start to be in doubt, and I will give them. I give out more advice.
I'm
for
the best
tracking.
at that. I mean, I send you a text right after I hear the gun go off.
I give out probably just as much advice as I do go on tracks. Right. So somebody will call and say, "Hey, this is what I got," and I'll tell them, this wait 4 more hours and do this, whatever, right? So I give out a lot of advice, but I would say as soon as you start to struggle, call me and I'll tell you what I think. And then do not take another dog out there that doesn't know what it's doing. All right, and definitely don't take another dog out there and not tell me about it before
when you
I
get
come.
there.
Right. So, because there's a lot of people will say, hey, I got, my friend's dog, he found a deer one time.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
I wish you luck, but let me know when you want me to come out, right? And some guys, I've helped a lot of guys train their dogs, so I don't mind if I know them. Like,
Jared.
yes, right. So I know a lot of
Brad's
guys.
brother.
Right.
So put your dog on there. Just let me know about it, because she's gonna act a little different, or I need to know where that dog went versus where Zada goes, because she might be tracking that dog and not necessarily the deer after a little while,
Right.
because she's pretty alpha. So anywhere that dog peed, she's gonna pee too. So if the deer went right, but that dog peed to the left, she's going to the left to pee on.
Well, that's
to
good
cover
to
it.
know. I never thought to ask that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A question I had was, is there much difference, have you noticed, between bow shot animals and gunshot animals?
So we tend to go further on a bow shot deer than we would on a gunshot.
I've heard the
What's
average
your average track
on a
like
bow
average-
shot. How far they go?
So I've tracked deer that looked like it should have been a perfect shot, and I've gone 400 yards.
Yeah.
Right. So if I had to put a number on it, I'd say if that deer isn't dead within 600, we're probably running him at that point. Which, I mean, like I said, is kind of our specialty, so that doesn't really bother me. But
What do you do when you get, I know out at Fort Benning you can kind of run for days, but when you're crossing different property lines, do you use on X and try to?
So I'll pull up the map when I get there, and I'll ask them, how many acres do you have? Where's our property line? Have you talked to the neighbors? I do all that. There's a whole phone interview process that I'll do a lot before I get out there.
That's good.
So if you tell me that you're 100 yards from the property line and you don't know the neighbors,
Can't help you.
get a hold and figure it out and then let me know,
Right.
But if we are on small parcels, I'll run her on lead then. Or if we're next to a highway, she gets too close to highway, and I can see him on my GPS too, so I'll snap the lead in until we get through that, then unclick her and let her go again.
What's I'm asking more questions, off of history, like what's happened, so what's the most interesting track you've been on, or maybe your prize, it could have been a doe for a kid, but in order to get it, you had to do this or that. I mean, it could be anything. What are you most proud of?
So not too long ago, in youth season this year, we tracked for a kid that you might have seen his deer in the Georgia Outdoor News or Outdoor Network, the GON.
Yeah.
The 14-year-old kid that shot that 164-inch buck.
I saw a picture.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
was a good one.
Where was that at?
Up in Harris County.
Harris County.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It was a monster. But we tracked that deer over 2 miles, and we would just every few hundred yards we would just see a tiny little drop of blood.
Just to confirm you were in the
And
right
we're like,
spot.
yep, we're still good. And she ran that deer and probably had it bayed 3 times. We just couldn't get to her because it was so thick in there.
Wow.
I mean, it was a long chase. Cade put the finishing shots on it in the end. Nothing really huge stood out except for when the 14-year-old kid shoots a 164-inch deer.
Anybody
I told
shoots
him,
that.
I was like, hey, man, you might as well hang that gun up. You're 14 years old, and your hunting career is over.
Please tell me that
You know
wasn't
what I
his
mean?
first deer.
I was like, no, it wasn't his first,
Okay,
but
that's good.
Still
I was like,
work.
man, there's nowhere to go but down from here, buddy. You know what I mean?
He may never pull the trigger
So,
again.
I thought he was going to bust a pipe when we were standing there. You know what I mean? And I was like, yes, this is perfect. Like,
That's what you want.
I love the kid tracks are the best, but they're also the worst. Because when you got to tell that kid that
you're not gonna
we're
find
not
it.
going to find it, that's awful. But-
Yeah, double-edged sword there for sure. Well,
I'll ask you, do you see a big difference in recovery rate between, bow shot deer and gunshot deer? Is there do you recover more?
You got some
You would
stats
think
there.
Yeah.
guns versus, I know you got some stats, or what's your recovery rate, those types of
So
things.
when I ran these stats at about midway through the season, right, I was sitting at my rifle recovery rates at 68%.
Okay.
So that's recovered 17, non-recovered 8. And then my archery stats were at 52% with 13 recovered and 12 non-recoveries. So like I said, we usually tend to recover more rifles. It's just more damage, you know, basically more damage when it gets there.
Have you seen a difference in fixed blade versus
Mechanical.
I don't see it. It's a big conversation always that everybody talks about, but I don't see that much difference. Really, if you get a little more margin of error when you're shooting a fixed blade broadhead, you know what I mean? Because you can hit them a little further back, and that arrow's going to cause a little more damage, or you be a little bit off. But if you get a shot in the body of the deer with a 2-inch mechanical, like even when we're running, it's not going far. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She wants to get on
bored.
the track.
She's bored. She's tired.
I think when you brought her up here, she thought she was going on track.
She did. She was
walked in
excited. We got her in the truck, and then when we pulled up here, she was like, well, this don't look like the woods.
That's what she lives for, isn't it?
Yeah, she loved it. Princess at the house and a savage in the woods.
That's what you want, man.
Yeah.
That's what you want. What else you got over there? I see a whole list of
Well,
stuff
I mean,
there.
is there a certain caliber when you're talking about guns? You know, you got 30-06, you got 308, you got 270. Is there like just or 243? Is there just one caliber? You go, man, every track I go on is this, or that we don't recover is this 243 or whatever it is.
So
Because there's a lot of rifle hunting around here.
right, most
so
of those calibers, I don't have a problem
it's all
with.
about shot placement.
You shoot something. If I show up and you got an AR or 5.56 slung on your back, I'm like, oof, I lace up my running shoes, right? Because we're gonna be
spray and
running,
pray.
and there's not gonna be any blood almost always.
Okay.
You know, because that deer either went down right now, and you would have already found it and not needed me. But if you already crossed the threshold where you needed help, like that deer's running. I mean, we'll still same recovery rates pretty much,
Right.
but we're just going further.
How many times have you got to a track and a guy's like, man, I made a perfect hit. The deer should be dead. And he ended up almost shooting his tail off.
How accurate are they?
In their description of what's
I know one of
happening.
the first questions you asked.
Here's what I get. Man, the shot felt good. Did it? Because
I know that
You did find it where
I'm here, right?
thought it would,
You know,
so
one of your
good.
first questions is going to be, well, where did you hit the deer? And they're going to tell you where they think. And I just
Yeah.
wonder how accurate the hunter actually is, because they're in the moment. You know, they're beating down in a scope.
accurate is not a word I would
that's
use
what
to
I would-
describe it.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean,
thought.
the
right
mind,
behind the shoulder, and they're
Yeah.
6 inches. You know.
yeah, or further.
The
Yeah.
common one though is when you get a shoulder shot, right, with the archery, and you hit that bow or the arrow is stuck in the shoulder.
Yeah.
They'll be like, man, I had 18 inches of penetration, and then we'll find the arrow later on, and there's like 2 inches broke off of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, because
So
they
what-
just see the blood comes down the shaft. But.
So what's the best, especially archery, so what's the best excuse you've heard on a bad shot? Because
He must have stepped right as I was going to shoot. That's why I got him in the
I'm
guts.
always looking for good excuses when it happens, I got to keep it original.
Go with the limb, right? It must have hit a limb.
Must hit a limb,
right?
yeah.
Or he took a step right at the last minute. Those are
Or
the.
I tried to squeeze with a rifle. I tried to squeeze one in there.
They duck the arrow a lot too, which is true. That is
Oh
true.
yeah, they
It
will do
happens.
that. Yeah.
But whole load.
Well, the bad thing about filming like we do is, that camera don't lie.
No.
Well, I take that back.
helps.
Every now and then you see something like your deer for a long time. I mean, I was still here in Columbus you sent me video, and I won't forget it. I was in the movies, and I'm watching your video going, why hadn't he found this deer?
Where are those guys?
And then it was like 10, 20 minutes later is when I noticed his leg was back. I was like, that could be it,
Yeah.
And then you're like, I said, don't go back in there till tomorrow. And then 3 hours later, we're going back in. All the guys, up there, we can find that deer. Let's go get him. He's huge. He's dead right there, and we found
We
him.
probably just bumped him is what we did.
We
you
found him
probably
4 or
did.
5 days later off the smell from.
Yeah.
So
We go out on a few of those that turn in and just, I shot this 2 days ago, but it has to be in this little chunk of woods. I don't like doing it, but we'll go out and run a little grid search kind of with the dog and just do a little head recovery.
how long do you take a track before, you decide, hey, that's it?
It depends on what we're seeing, really. If I have active blood, I'll pretty much keep going. I mean, I've gone up to 3 miles before on a single lung crossbow shot, with frontal crossbow shot, right? So a single lung, we went 3 miles, ended up finding it. Sometimes we'll call it off in 300
dead?
yards when we don't have no. The dogs ran it for probably 2 miles.
Can you wear her out? She'll go.
Yeah,
on.
early season.
Oh, when
It gets rough when it's hot.
Yeah.
When I catch up to her, or I
Carry
get
a lot
back
of
up
water
to her.
with you then, I guess?
Carry a lot of water, something with some sugar in it. you know, to kind of keep her going. Because she'll start, when she starts stiff-legging me, when she's walking, I'm like, I'll call it off for sure right then. I'm like, nope, we're done. Yeah. But it just really varies on what we have. If I know it's a leg shot, I know we're in for the run. If I know it's a gut shot, we'll run it down.
Are you still getting a lot of archery calls this time of year, or most guys done laid that down?
No, I mean, I went on one track last night was archery. Yep.
Yeah.
So they're still
deal.
going. They'll trickle in, you know. They'll trickle in all through the year, especially on Fort Benning because there's so many archery-only areas that I'll get over there.
Well, I really do appreciate you coming in. It's been,
Absolutely.
I mean, I've had a great time. I learned a lot. We may, if you don't mind, and she don't mind coming back in maybe during the summer or something, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the training aspect.
Right.
You know, if a guy, you know, when do you get that dog at, you know, 76 days or you know, whatever day, as you know, from the litter, and bring it up home, thinking you're going to train it from that point further, or can you take a dog that, you know, may be a stray? I mean, you know, like I found my dog on a hog hunt. So, and then, because a lot of guys, you know, I like for my dog to be kind of multi-purpose, you know, got to kind of earn her keep. You know?
Yeah, I got a 10-week-old dachshund at the house right now, so
Yeah, I heard they make pretty good.
I'm gonna run that little short dog behind. We all have like little nicknames, right? So the little dachshunds, we just call them short dogs, and then the Catahoulas, we call them spotted dogs. So I'm gonna run that little short dog behind my spotted dog. And
Well, I know I speak for everybody up here. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come in. She's trying to jump down. Don't let her hang herself.
Zeta wants down.
We
she's
appreciate
done. She's done with you guys.
Yeah, so I think Zeta's saying, wrap it up, guys. I got to get in bed, and I may have a track tomorrow. But we do appreciate you coming in. All good stuff. I hope you guys learned a lot from it today. I know I enjoyed it.
Me too.
And I definitely picked up some tips. Got a couple of good excuses along the way. And we know you got repeat customers, which that's good for you.
And
Some
tell
of them
everybody
with
how
the
to get
last
back in
name of
touch with
Frost.
you. Yeah. Tell everybody how to get back in touch with you.
Okay,
again.
so like I said, you can go on the Alabama Blood Trailing Network or the Georgia Blood Trailing Network, or come directly to me at 785-307-2097. And then my tracking page is Schmavis Outdoors or Schmavis Big Game Recovery. That's on Facebook and Instagram. You just type it in, search me up, you'll see me on there.
Cool.
Well, guys, we appreciate you watching the Challenge Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Raider Concealment, and we hope you enjoyed it. We enjoy doing these every other week for you guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for watching.
Hey guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And do not forget to ring that bell so you will get a notification when we upload our new video.